Hello and welcome to another video by HUXL. Today I'm going to show you some keyboard shortcuts. So I've got a little file here. I'm going to pull up the on-screen keyboard so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to add a link to this document in the description so you'll have it for your reference. I know this is nothing new. There's hundreds, probably thousands of keyboard shortcuts out there on the internet. I didn't want to overwhelm you with 3 pages of different shortcuts. When you're trying to learn something new, it's better to learn in bites. So I wanted to give you some of the most useful ones and demonstrate their use instead of just giving you a sheet and having to try to make sense of what they're talking about. So I'm going to demonstrate how you use these. So the first one is Shift and Arrow. So Shift and Arrow anywhere that I click. So if I start here, I can hold down my Shift button and I can hit my right arrow. The online keyboard is not showing the right arrow clicks for some reason. So I'm holding down Shift, I'm hitting my right arrow. Okay, so it lets me select in that direction. And this will work in any direction. I can go Shift up, I can go Shift down, Shift to the left. Okay, so it's just there to let you select multiple cells at one time. Next one is kind of a keyboard shortcut, kind of not. It lets you select non-adjacent cells like this. Now, you can't copy non-adjacent cells, you'll get a funny error, but you can, for example, delete. You can apply formatting, those sorts of things with non-adjacent cells. So Control and then click. Okay. Next is the Control and then arrows. What this will do is it'll take you to the end of a contiguous range in whatever direction you use your arrows. So I'm hitting Control, left arrow, Control right arrow, Control down arrow, Control up arrow. Now, this will take you to the end of a contiguous range. What I mean by that is, if there is a continuous range of values, it'll take you to the end of that. If I do Control down arrow now, there's a break right here, so it stops at the break. So Control down arrow will take me there. If I go down here and hit Control down arrow, now it'll take me clear down to here to the bottom because there's no breaks. Okay. Control and arrows, and that again will work in any direction. Up, down, left, right. Home. Home will take you to the beginning of the current row. So wherever I'm at in the row, if I hit Home, it will take me to the beginning of that row. So Home. And again, for some reason on the on screen, we'll do it this way. Home. I wonder if I can. Yeah, I probably can't do 2 buttons at a time with this guy here. Okay. So Home. So that one works, and then Control Home will take you to the top left, which generally is going to be A1. I've got a merged cell here, so it looks a little weird. Do Control Home will take you there. Now, what I have seen, let's see if I can make it do it. If you have like a different region, like if I make this as a table, and I do Control Home, yeah, it's unpredictable when it will do it, but sometimes when you do Control Home, it'll take you to the top left of that region instead of all the way up to A1. So if it did that, if I hit Control Home and I ended up here, if you hit Control Home again, it will take you to A1. I'm sure there's rhyme or reason why it does that, but it seems to be unpredictable. Okay, Control Home. End, I found out recently, does not work. I believe it used to work as I described here, where it would take you to the end of a row. It doesn't do that anymore. Control End does work, however. So wherever you're at, Control End will take you to the end of the used range. Now you'll see it took me clear off here to the right. It's because I did have something here. So it's going to take you to the bottom right of the used range, which is clear down here. Okay. If you save your file, it should reset your used range, and now you'll see it took me clear down to the bottom right. So wherever I'm at, it will take me to the bottom right of my used range. Okay. We did Control End, Shift and Space. This will select whatever row you're on. So right now I'm on a cell that's in row 5. Shift Space will select the whole row. Okay, and if I do multiples, we'll select multiples. So for example, if I've got cells in 4 different rows selected, so Shift Space will select the whole thing. I can also use my Shift button. I've got a row selected. I can hold down Shift and do down and then select additional rows. Control works the same way, but for columns. So if I'm in a cell in column F and I hit Control Space, then column F will be highlighted. If I've got cells from multiple columns selected and I hit Control Space, multiple columns will be selected. And again, if you have a column selected, you can use Shift to select multiple columns. Okay, now you can also use these in combination. So for example, you can use Control and Shift together and an arrow. And what that's going to do, so we know Shift will select rows. Now if I do Control Shift and right, it will select all the cells down to the end of that contiguous range. So if I start here and do Control Shift right arrow, it will take me to the end of that contiguous range. And it'll work in any direction. So Control Shift down arrow, I can start here and do Control Shift up arrow. I can start here and do Control Shift left arrow. This keyboard shortcut in particular will let you select a large table very quickly. I'm just going to do this real quick and then I'll show you what I did. So it's just that fast. What I did in quick succession was Control Shift right arrow, Control Shift down arrow. Okay, so you can do that much more quickly than you can do that. You'll see I tried to be fast and I overshot and then I had to readjust. And the bigger this table is, the more true that becomes. So if I were to make this table even bigger, Control Shift is a whole lot quicker. So Control Shift right, Control Shift down. Okay. So that just gives you a small example of some keyboard shortcuts and a quick practical example of how they can be used to do things much more quickly. Or here's just another example. I'm going to select this whole thing. I did that very quickly. Control Home took me to the top. Control down arrow takes me to the end of this contiguous range. Now I want to paste it. Control Home, Control Shift right arrow, Control Shift down arrow. Copy the whole thing again. I can just very quickly, I can select the whole thing again. So I can very quickly navigate my way around the spreadsheet. I mean, you see how big this thing is now. It's gotten pretty big. And if I have to scroll to the top, takes me a little bit. I can just do Control Home, takes me up to the top. Okay, so there's some keyboard shortcuts to get you started. Whenever you're learning something new, it's always best to learn in bites. So I didn't want to throw a whole bunch at you at a time. Here's a few. Try to get used to using them, practicing with them. If you want to be a power user of Excel, the more you can keep your hands on the keyboard, the more you're going to be able to get done quickly. Every time you have to move your hand from the keyboard to the mouse, that is going to slow you down. And yeah, you just want to be able to work as quickly as you can. Obviously, accuracy is important as well, but especially when you're a consultant like me and the customer's paying you by the hour, they don't want you They don't want to pay you because you're scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. They want you to get things done for them quickly. So it's a good value for them. So if you have any questions, as always, you can reach out to me and get this out of the way at paul@HUXL. If you have more questions, or if you want to hire me to design a custom spreadsheet for you, custom Microsoft Access database for you. Also, if you like this video, please like it. And if you want to see more, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you.